welcome to Spoiler Piece Theater, the podcast that doesn't give a shit about spoilers. We just want to talk about the movies. My name is Evan Crean. My pronouns are he, him. I'm co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living, and co-host of the It's the Pictures podcast.
And my name is Dave Riedel. I'm a movie yapper. My pronouns are he, him, and I am also a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. What are we called? BOFCA, whatever.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
You got there.
You got it, Dave. The thing you've been a member of for a decade and a half. Yes, that's it.
Oof. Well, it's really been that long, huh?
Something like that.
Sheesh. All right. Well, we've got movie to talk about. I almost said we have movies to talk about. We
were going to have movies,
to talk about.
but I had a thing come up last night, so
yeah, it's all good. I couldn't make it to that screen anyway. I got to one screen this week. That was good. We'll say what that movie is in just a minute. Before we get to that, we'll mention that over on our Patreon this week, in honor of its 40th anniversary, we're talking about the 1986 movie Crossroads with Ralph Macchio. And that was certainly a fun episode, fun conversation. I'll say that neither of us has seen it before. And yeah, we really dig into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you're a patron, go check that out. If you're not a patron, for $5 a month, you get access to weekly bonus episodes like that one. You also get to vote in our monthly polls. We had just did one on Sam Neill movies, and that was fun. So check that out. And while I'm at it, I will thank our sponsor piece patron, Heather Sachs. Heather, thank you for your support.
Thank you, Heather. All
right. Moving on to the main event. This week, we are going to be talking about the new film Tony, which is a biopic about Anthony Bourdain. And specifically this film, which is written and directed by Matt Johnson and co-written by Todd Bartels and Lou Howe, is zoning in on a summer in Anthony Bourdain's life. When he's 19 years old, he's going to Provincetown, and it's all, as the IMDb summary states, he stumbles into the chaotic world of a restaurant kitchen, setting off a summer that will shape the course of his life. So yeah, it's one of those biopics that's like, okay, let's take a very specific point in time in this person's life, let's zone in on it, and let's go to town. And Anthony Bourdain is played by Dominic Sessa, who we may remember from The Holdovers. This film also stars Emilia Jones, Leo Woodall, Antonio Banderas, and some other people, including Rich Sommer plays his dad.
In a very different sort of Rich Sommer performance, I thought.
Yeah, I thought so too. And so we meet Tony in the beginning, and he's at Vassar College. It's the 1970s. I love that the film opens with a quote from Anthony Bourdain, and I don't remember the exact quote, but basically it's along the lines of like, I was an irresponsible lout in need of a good ass kicking. And that is a good preface to the movie, because he was an irresponsible lout in need of a good ass kicking this time in his life. If we're to believe the movie, he is the kind of guy with delusions of grandeur. He's like pedantic. He likes to use big words to try to impress people. He is constantly lying about what is going on in his life and his prowess. He's like, I'm a writer. He like applies for his fellowship. He doesn't get it, but he tells his family he did. And he runs into Emilia Jones, who he had a crush on in high school. He tries to sweet talk her, and then she says, I'm going to Provincetown for the summer. Maybe come look me up there. And so he follows her there, and he's a fucking wreck. He's like drunk when he's like drunk. He gets robbed, and he gets punched out by Leo Woodall for like being gross with the server at the restaurant that's run by Antonio Banderas. The Flagship is the name of the restaurant. And yeah, Antonio Banderas, his title his title is just chef. But he takes pity on Tony, and he takes him under his wing and says, okay, I'm going to give you a place to work. The only rule is you can't be late. He's like, I pretty much will put up with a bunch of other shit, but don't be fucking late. If you're late, you're fired. And he's like, he lets people do drugs in the kitchen, looks the other way on that. I would say his other rule is don't take the Lord's name in vain, because he's a religious guy. And anytime he gets really mad at Tony, anytime Tony says, "Oh God, this is delicious," he's like, why can't you say something else?
Yeah, I think at one point he's like, "Why do you always say that?"
Yeah. But he takes him under his wing. He's like teaching him how to cook, how to run a restaurant. In the meantime, he's palling around with Sal, who's played by Leo Woodall, who's like he's a fucking hot mess of a guy. He's like high on drugs all the time. He's hooking up with tons of young girls and being just generally gross. The other guys that work in the kitchen are actually really amusing too. Stavros and Tyrone is the other character's name, and they're all pretty funny, and they have a really good rapport with each other. And you know, the film is kind of working its way through this summer, and you know, he's trying to get close to Nancy Amelia Jones, and you know, trying to find ways to hang out with her. He asks her to photograph him for his book that he's writing, and he lies to her and says, like, I'm not working at a restaurant, I'm undercover, I'm writing a book about the chef, because the chef is an interesting guy. And he finally gets her to want to sleep with him, and then basically ends up just being like, "Oh, I lied about everything, sorry."
Right. And she's like, "I fucking knew it."
Yeah. She's like, "You came here just to like follow me, didn't you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah.
I forget at what
I'm
point,
glad he fessed up and didn't like, you know, go ahead and fuck her anyway, because that would have been horrible.
That would have been gross. Yeah. Did that happen after the fire?
I think so.
I think so. So yeah, so he's been sleeping on the hammock at, you know, Chef's place, and he convinces Chef, like, let's push ourselves, like, let's make this lobster thermidor recipe, and like, let's punch it up a notch, because this is normally just like a quick seafood and fries kind of a place, which I think, you know, definitely has its place in this world. Like, you gotta have a good like seafood place so you can go quick, fun,
yeah, absolutely,
place.
Like, you fucking need fish and chips, man.
Yeah. But anyway, so he convinces Chef to do this, and they're in the middle of making they're kind of doing really well, and they're in the middle, and Tony's not paying attention and sets the kitchen on fire. And because he was fucking around with the fire extinguisher earlier, there's no the fire extinguisher doesn't work, and he's a dumbass, so he pours water on a grease fire and sets the whole restaurant on fire and burns the whole place down.
Yeah. Oh, that's so, when he goes and he gets the water and Chef tries to stop him too.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's rough.
It's fucking rough. It is fucking rough. But then later he decides, like, okay, we're going to he was inspired by there's this part where Chef takes them fishing in the middle of the night, and they go, and he's telling them about the clam bakes they used to have on the beach, and everybody used to come. So he plans this clam bake initially for like selfish reasons. And then Leo Woodall convinces people to come to it by saying it's a fundraiser to like raise money to like rebuild the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And so that ends up becoming the case. Tony, you know, Chef shows up and he's impressed, and he's like, yeah, maybe I should actually give this money to Chef because he deserves it to be able to rebuild his restaurant. And so, yeah, he goes back to Vassar. Seems like, you know, he's maybe going to chat with Nancy, although we don't see them like actually really chatting. We see them, you know, spot each other on campus, and then he's deciding to apply to the CIA, the Culinary Institute of America. And that's kind of like, you know, charting his course to becoming the Anthony Bourdain that we know, including there's this whole thing about them throughout the movie where he's like, you know, only my mom calls me Anthony, call me Tony. And then he decides to go by Anthony. And, you know, I think there's like a line at the end where the, you know, admission team is like, yeah, Anthony, that works. That's good. I like that, or something.
Yeah, I think Antonio Banderas says to him, he's like, Anthony is a better name than Tony, or something like that. Not that I was thinking of Puss in Boots the entire time, but, you know.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Shauna and I were talking about this after the movie, because we have seen Puss in Boots recently, because we showed Rami those movies, and I thought that he did a really good job of just kind of disappearing into this role and being very understated
For
in a
sure.
way that made me forget about those types of roles. It made me forget about the flashier, sillier things that he's been in, and he just kind of melted into it in a really the best kind of way to me.
I agree. I was being kind of flippant because I didn't think about Puss in Boots. I just like, I have always loved the way he announces himself in those movies. My name is Puss in Boots, you know? And I think it's easy to forget what a fine actor Antonio Banderas can be because he's done so much, especially in English language movies, goofy stuff, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But he's terrific here. He's reined in, he's restrained, he's very understated in all the best ways. There's like an air of mystery to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know that he's religious. You don't know whether he's gay or not. It seems like that's kind of implied by the movie, but that the movie doesn't really touch on that at all.
Yeah.
And I think it works extremely well.
Yes, a lesser movie would have had him making a pass at somebody, probably Tony.
Yeah.
But there's none of that.
Yeah, no, they don't do that. So, any other plot things you think we should mention, or should we just dig into what we thought about?
Did you? You kind of summed it up so well, but did you mention that Sal Leo, what's his last name? Woodall?
Yeah.
That he got fired for being late.
No, I didn't mention that. Yeah,
okay.
I probably should have. So yeah, he is late because he gets all fucked up, I think, on heroin or something.
Yes, for sure.
And the movie does kind of tease that, you know, Tony is eyeing and getting into drugs and kind of hinting at later problems that Anthony Bourdain would have, such struggling with like depression, substance abuse, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And Leo Woodall is late, and Chef is willing to give him another chance, but he gets demoted to doing dish duty, and then he like punches Chef in the face, and then definitely gets fucking fired after that.
Yeah.
It's sad too, because it's like Chef is like, I'm willing. He literally says something like, I'm willing to forgive the lateness if you could just come here and do the dishwashing and let, you know, Tony do the oysters today because he fucking earned it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, oh my God. So one thing I have to say about this fucking movie with regard to shucking oysters.
Oh,
fucking Chekhov's oyster knife. There's a part in the beginning where he fucking brings an oyster to a party to try and impress Emilia Jones. And he butchers opening the oyster, but everyone in the theater was bracing for him, like slicing his hand up so badly. And they fucking fake you out. And you're like, oh, breathe a sigh of relief. Then they get to the scene where he's got to take over for Sal, and everyone's bracing themselves again. Like the entire theater was bracing themselves. I could see everyone literally girding themselves and everyone going, because they were like, everyone, like our row, like you, me, Shauna, we are all making that noise. We are all like ready for him to just like destroy his hand, because you know that's what happens when people learn to like cut open oysters. And he stabbed himself, and it was bad, but not as bad as I was expecting. I thought he was going to cut his hand way fucking worse than he did.
Thought he was going to like cut that tendon that's over there, but he just puts the knife in the fleshy part. So,
yeah. And then like duct taped his hand and like did the whole service with like a duct taped hand.
Yeah.
But it was effective filmmaking, though. Everyone in the audience was bracing themselves. And we went to, funny enough, our screening, I think it's worth noting, was it one of the industry screenings they did? And by industry, I mean, they did special screenings across the US for people who work in the restaurant industry. And they had like a chef come and do an introduction for our screening and stuff. So like, you know, these are people who have worked in a kitchen before and like probably aren't that squeamish about this kind of thing. But the fact that everyone in the theater was like on the edge of their seat says something.
Yeah. Yeah. Really well done. You know? And I mean, and it's also smart how the movie doesn't treat it like a throwaway when he does stab himself, but it treats it like kind of the same way when Tony, I can't remember which of the guys told him, hey, pick up this, you know, oh, you want to work the line?
Oh,
Here,
yeah.
pick up this pan.
Tyrone,
And it's a
yeah.
cast iron pan.
Yep.
And so he burns his hand on it because he doesn't know any better. And then Tyrone comes over and picks it up with his bare hand like it's nothing. And so it's a little bit like that in that, you know, he's kind of learning. He stabbed himself. He knows, okay, don't do it that way. But the movie just then, the next mention of it, because after that, that's when Sal gets fired.
Mhm.
And then you see his hand duct tape when they're at dinner. So you're like, okay,
Right.
just part of being in a kitchen, you know?
Yeah, and he just had to figure it out and keep moving because he had to. Because now they they would have been down 2 people.
Yeah, that would have been rough. And if you ever saw later seasons of not the CNN show, but the first show that Anthony Bourdain did,
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. I think it was this show. He goes back to Lazal long after he's like not the executive chef anymore, and he's working the line, and he's got Eric Ripert with him. And Eric Ripert is. Have you seen this episode?
No.
Eric Ripert is on the steak station with the steak guy, and the two of them are having the time of their lives. They're making steaks. They're cracking jokes. It's so funny. Eric Ripert is, because he's on TV all the time, he's just so happy just cooking steaks. And then you see Tony like reading the tickets, and he's old enough so that he's got to wear his reading glasses, and he can't figure out how to call out what's on the tickets because he can't read them. And it's just a great contrast between how he's sort of miserable, even though he's supposed to be in his element. And then Eric Ripert, who's like a Michelin, I don't know if he's a Michelin star chef, but if he's not, he's close. Who's just like, he's just making steaks, and it's the best thing he's done forever. You can just tell, it's great. And so it reminded me of like, this is what happens. Like, someone in the kitchen's miserable, someone's having a great time. You've got to, but you're in the kitchen and the food's got to get out there. So you stabbed yourself in the hand. Here's some duct tape, motherfucker. You know, I know that I just basically said everything you said, except I swore more, but whatever.
Yeah. So let's see. What do we think about this one? We started to delve into it a little bit, but what did you think of this?
I really loved it. I wasn't, I was worried that it was going to be shitty, that it was going to be like not a standard biopic in the sense that, it does a whole person's life and like, here's when they're a prodigy, and here's when they get famous, and here's when it goes to their head, and here's when they get into drugs, and here's when they come clean. And I also thought to myself, Anthony Bourdain's life had such a tragic ending. Sad, tragic ending. I'm so glad there was no reference to that. It was truly this took place in the summer of 1975. There is foreshadowing to him becoming, a chef. And I like the scene when he's having the interview and Eric Ripert is like the lead interviewer. By the way, when Nancy looks over and sees him on campus, was that him or was that someone who looks like him? I thought it was someone who looks like him. Was it really him?
I thought it was him.
I'm asking that because I wasn't sure. But
yeah, I thought it was him. And then, we're seeing him say, okay, I'm leaving campus and I'm going to go apply to be in the CIA.
We'll see. Now I have to see it again, which I was going to do anyway. But so anyway, yes, I really liked this. I don't think that Dominic Sessa really sounds or has the mannerisms of Anthony Bourdain, or maybe he does, and I just don't know him well enough. But I think his performance is good. I think it's a really good performance.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I necessarily felt like I'm watching young Anthony Bourdain here, but I did think he was effective at playing the character as I believe it was written, which is to be a very flawed, fuck up kind of guy who's delusions of grandeur, and when he is focused, has sparks of what we know Anthony Bourdain to have had, talent as a chef, talent as a writer and a storyteller. And you see moments, you see flashes of those things, but it's just like he hadn't learned to harness those and point them in a direction really yet.
Right. And I had been feeling that way too. When we saw the movie, I think that you said, I really appreciate that he was such a flawed character and not,
Yeah.
like gussied up for the movies. Right. And I completely agree. I just, it drives me nuts when, you get biopics and like, I don't know. I don't even see biopics anymore because they all drive me so fucking nuts.
Right, but you don't want someone's like past to be whitewashed. Like I think of that Stan Lee documentary that came out, and it's like they just whitewashed any bad part of Stan Lee. You're like, the guy was not perfect. I'm sure there was bad stuff about him. How can you talk about someone's life and not mention bad shit? Like
how he didn't give Jack Kirby credit for years on Spider-Man. Yeah,
like that kind of stuff. You're like, okay, and I appreciate he feels. Whether it's hews super closely to his life or doesn't, it feels like a real grounded person, but still someone you can root for, because even though he's flawed,
he wants to do the right things.
He wants to do the right things. He wants to do better. Mm-hmm. So you end up rooting for him.
Yeah, and I really liked that you just had a little bit. You just have a couple of scenes, one longer scene, and then a quick scene when he's on the phone with his parents later. How, yes, I can see that house, growing up in that house, being the kind of house where you would just lose your mind because his parents are always fighting, but fighting about dumb shit,
Yeah.
And his mother does seem, she's not overbearing. It's more like she's condescending,
Yeah.
And so that's why I thought it was kind of interesting that when he's on the phone with them later from that payphone, which is shot in such a way that at first Tony's so far in the background, you don't even realize that it's, I just saw the guy walking in the alley. I'm like, oh, there's a guy walking in the alley, whatever. Turns out Tony's on the phone. But then he ends up hanging up on his parents because they start arguing over like, are you going to, like, I want to talk to him. No, I'm just going to go pick him up, and
yeah, they don't even know where he is. He's just fucking took money and absconded in the middle of the night with it.
Yeah. I mean, it was the 70s, right? So
yeah, that kind of shit happened.
Apparently it happened in 1986, also Crossroads. So, I don't know if she stole money from her parents, but by the way, didn't mention this, and here's a little teaser for you non-patrons to maybe go over to Patreon and check it out. We didn't mention that in Crossroads, Jamie Gertz has this whole soliloquy about how her stepfather is basically trying to sexually assault her, which is why she keeps running away. And that's one of those things in the movie that's like, this is a pretty fucking serious thing we're talking about here, but it's treated just like, man, now she's a runaway, whatever.
Right. Yeah. This movie, on the other hand, I think the tone is consistent throughout.
For sure.
It makes sense. It doesn't feel like the stuff that's funny feels like it's funny in appropriate time for it to be funny. And it's mostly like gags in the kitchen and guys like busting each other's balls in the kitchen. In a way where, where they're just like insulting each other and, in a way that people do when they work together or when they have like a rapport together. That all kind of made sense to me. And then everything else felt appropriately serious. And Leo Woodall, I think, also was excellent in this because he has to play such a scumbag of a guy. But you like him anyway, even though you're like, he's a gigantic scumbag. Like he's like sleeping with underage girls and doing drugs and stealing money. But like, you can't help but and he's like hitting people, like he punches out that guy, like the guy that Nancy is sleeping with at the pizza place.
Well, I mean, and he starts the whole fight by he sees the two of them come in and he's like, Tony, let's get out of here. And then Tony goes first and he pushes Tony into Nancy's situationship or whatever, his boyfriend. And then when the guy gets up and is like, what the fuck? Sal just beats the shit out of him.
Yeah. And you're like, I can't help but like this guy, even though he's a total sleazebag.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. When they go to that party and Tony's like, I don't work in a kitchen. I've got a fellowship. You're my mentor, and he's like, all right, sure. And I thought that he was going to be like, fuck, we work in the kitchen together. No, he totally does it. And he does it really well.
Yeah.
Like when that girl says to him, oh, and you're a professor. And he says, well, I'm a grad student. I was like, That's the perfect answer.
Right. And then he
You know?
takes the joint. He says, I'm confiscating this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's very funny. There's definitely some good comedy in this. I think I definitely heard you laugh out loud at least one or two times during the movie.
Oh yeah. I think that I laughed out loud during the scene when Sal beats up Nancy's boyfriend just because I couldn't believe that happened. You know?
Yeah.
Like when he shoved Tony into the guy, I was like, oh, okay. But then using that as an excuse to beat him up, be like, oh, what'd you do? You hit my friend? Well, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus.
Yeah. That ratcheted it up quickly.
Yeah. I also appreciated that even though Tony was a lying jerk and he was trying to lure Nancy under false pretenses, it wasn't super yucky. I mean, it was, he was lying to her, but he wasn't trying to he was just like hanging out with her. I think that he knew that the guy from the pizza place was not like, I don't know if it was like serious or what. It didn't seem serious to me. They're making out behind the pizza counter. That's not what you do in a serious relationship.
No. And I think, she very obviously has a healthy skepticism for everything that he's telling her. And I think she kind of underlying knows that he's bullshitting. I would say at least 90 to 95% of what he's telling her.
But she kind of falls under his spell the same way the audience does, right? She's like, this guy's kind of a doofus, and then she's got some really great moments with him when he's doing one of those things where he's, giving her the definition of a word. And then he says, he's like, I'm not actually like super smart. Just my mom's always saying shit like that all the time. And I hate it. And then she paused. She's like, so why do you do it then? And he's like, oh yeah. Why do I do it? Oh, yeah. Older. Was she supposed to be like a year or two older than he is?
I think so.
Yeah. They went to high school together, but she was a year or two ahead of him. I don't remember. But she knows him because she says at the beginning, didn't you punch a hole in the vice principal's office door? And he's like, I've matured since then, or whatever he says.
Yeah, that's they're for their meeting in the beginning of the movie at that bar is pretty funny. Yeah, because people are immediately throwing shade at him from the moment he walks up to them.
It is kind of amazing how he can sort of walk through those situations. You can tell that he's completely terrified, but he's also so sure about, no, I got to talk to this chick, that he's kind of willing to push through it. And she appreciates that for reasons I don't understand, but he is funny. So there's that. And it's also, even though he's lying to her about like why he's there, that he's not a creep like the way Sal's a creep. And I think the reason that it works is, one, because he's so charming, but two, because Nancy knows him just well enough to know, well, he's full of shit. But
exactly.
He's a good kid though, Yeah. Oh my God. You remember how Sal cuts a little piece, he literally takes a notch like from the bedpost or from the doorway.
The door frame, of everyone he sleeps with.
And he keeps them in a jar. When it cut to the shot of Tony standing outside her bedroom door, I was like, I'm so glad there's no notch in here, even though I knew there wouldn't be. But it was kind of funny that Tony was looking for it, he was so insecure that he was looking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well. So you finally see her naked and then you come clean. I mean, if you're ever going to come clean, that's like, that's the last time you should have done it, but I'm glad you did, Tony.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and then I think in real life they ended up being together for like 20 years or something like that.
Oh, is she real? She's based on a real person?
Yeah, I think that was his first wife.
See, I didn't know any of that. I wondered, I knew that this movie was adapted from parts of Kitchen Confidential, like anecdotes that are in that, but I didn't know that she was a real person.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
But
That's cool.
Yeah. It was. I loved this. I think it was really well done, really well acted. The musical choices in it are quite good. The score is good. The costumes and everything look really good. It feels very period appropriate, and yeah, I was all about this. I mean, I also love Provincetown. It's one of my favorite places, like ever. I love hanging out there.
Yeah.
And so I was also just totally on board of let's spend a summer in Provincetown with, young Anthony Bourdain and watch him figure his shit out.
Yeah. Is Provincetown the town where there are no cars? Like you can't drive there?
No, you can drive there.
What am I thinking of?
I'm not
Fire
sure.
Island?
Maybe?
I don't know. Okay. I'm not sure. I got to look. I'll look that up some other time.
Yeah.
I broke one of Bob Chipman's cardinal rules of podcasting. Don't ask a question you don't already know the answer to.
But yeah, and it's clear that they shot this in Provincetown. Like you're walking around like, okay, these are all the places that this is very clearly shot here, which was nice.
By the way, I just Googled it because I had to, and it is Fire Island I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I was like, I've driven my car into Provincetown, so I know that's not true.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You were getting your gay places mixed up. Your gay.
Oh, that's right. Provincetown is gay. That's right. Yeah. I mean, I know Fire Island. Yeah, sure. But yeah, it's not really a central theme of this.
No, it's not. I mean, I think not that it wasn't in the 70s, but I think, at least outwardly to people, it probably had more of like a standard like beach community vibe than, queer haven.
Although I think when Tony first goes up to the restaurant, to Chef's restaurant, there are two guys making out in front of it.
That would make sense.
Because I remember thinking like, oh, the 70s. Okay. Yeah. Provincetown. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What else am I supposed to think? I don't know. I also think, what is so funny? And this goes along, we're talking about how I'm getting my gay places mixed up. Do you remember, like, when you watch movies from like the mid 70s to the very early 80s and there are gay characters, have you ever noticed how they're not really the butt of jokes? It's just like this, like All That Jazz has got one. It's like there are clearly like many gay characters in that. A lot of them are like the dancers or whatever, but it's not like, oh, they're gay. I think we can thank Reagan for that when it became like a punchline. Not that it wasn't difficult. I'm not trying to minimize anything. I'm just saying in film, it seemed to be less of a punchline until the money people started fucking everything up. It was so interesting that Evan yawned. No, interesting that Evan yawned into the
mic. Sorry. Now I'm just like thinking about it. And I'm like, do I feel like that's the case? I don't know. Now I'm like, need to watch more movies of that era that I know have gay characters in it to peel back that thought.
Yeah, well, wasn't there what was that fucking you know what, forget it. I can't even, it'll be just too long of a tangent. But it's another movie that we did on Patreon, but whatever. Well, also, because we did it on a Patreon, no one will know what the fuck I'm talking about who doesn't subscribe to Patreon.
Whoops. But yeah, Tony is really good. Better than I was expecting even. I think, I go in with low expectations when it's a biopic, but I think it's always smart when you're doing one to focus in on a period in a person's life instead of trying to do the cradle to the grave bullshit. And especially when you have such a compelling example that you can work with here. Like he had, it was well known that he had this formative time in his life. And I know he frequently kind of harkened back to that.
Yeah.
In his writing, in his storytelling on his different shows. Like he very frequently pointed out like, yeah, I was a young fucking idiot in this, I learned a lot in this summer in Provincetown. It shaped a lot of who I became later in life.
Yeah. I mean, when did he die? Like 8 years ago now? Something like that?
Oh man, I can't even remember at this point. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been long enough that I like after he died, I remember watching like a documentary about him,
Yes.
and now we're watching like a biopic about him.
I know. Yeah, 2018. I just Googled him. Oh man, he was so great. I mean, who knows what he was like in his private life? But
he sounded like tortured and depressed.
Yes.
And battling a lot of demons, which is it's always sad when you see someone that's like so brilliant and so compelling, and you just they're suffering on the inside in ways that you just like can't understand.
Yeah, and that they can't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember when he was, I don't remember, it was one of the shows, one of the documentary shows that he did, and he was talking about how he was addicted to heroin for a long time. And it's in a scene where he's drinking a beer, and I'm like, you're addicted to heroin and you're still drinking a beer? Tony, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And as someone with some experience in those roads, there's a reason we say abstinence is the best. They don't say abstinence is the best policy, but it's heavily implied.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's that's not a judgment. That's just there's an observation.
Yeah, I mean, as someone who knows very little about recovery and going through that, it is also puzzling from the outside to see someone who says like, okay, I swear off this drug, but I'm still going to keep smoking weed or drinking or whatever other substances that person is continuing to use.
Yeah.
Knowing that they have an addictive history with something else. Like,
hey, and some people can do that, and God bless them if you can pull it off,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but it's like, nobody really asks me anymore, like why I don't drink. I don't even get into, I never really got into, I'm just like, I'll just have a Diet Coke, which is, but people would ask me why I don't drink. And I got so irritated by people asking me that, because that happens when you're in your 20s,
right,
your early 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I just said, I'd kind of heard somebody else say this once, and I just said, well, I'll tell you what, I could have a beer right now, and then by tomorrow night, I'll be doing crystal meth off a switchblade in a roadside motel. So I think I'm just going to stick with the Diet Coke.
Yeah.
So I think switchblade is the thing that probably made them raise their eyebrows the most.
Yeah. It's quite the mental picture.
Yeah.
For sure. I think it adequately conveys why you choose not to drink.
Yeah. So anyway, yes, we've come a long way from the movie, but yes, I can't believe that I didn't know that Nancy was his first wife, and I miss his. He was such a powerful cultural commentator and critic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was fun to listen to. He was fun to watch. You would watch the shows, his travel shows, and he loved so much just kind of soaking in different cultures and cuisines and kind of going along for the ride. And there was something really satisfying about taking that ride with him.
Yeah.
From his just kind of, I'm going to go with the flow and you're going to give me all the stuff and I'm going to sit here and eat it, to like some of his more colorful comments and metaphors. Like I don't even remember what it was that he was eating. I just remember him talking about it went down like a sack of quarters. And it's such a vivid mental picture of what you're thinking of. Like you eat something and it sits like a sack of quarters in your stomach. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a great biopic worthy of Anthony Bourdain and his legacy. And I highly recommend it. And I believe, as I said too, when the publicist sent the email like, oh, what did you think? That I suspect this will be appearing on my ballot end of year for BAFTA probably in a couple of places.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Dominic Sess's terrific. Antonio Banderas, Leo Woodall's great. This is the second movie I've seen him in this year in very different parts. He's so good, and he's not even remotely American in real life.
Mm-hmm. Not even a little bit.
Yeah, I thought Emilia Jones was great. I mean, that's a part that could be such a kind of, I mean, it could really be kind of a nothing part. And she sort of makes this offhanded joke at the beginning, the first time he hits on her, when she says, well, maybe the next time I see you, you can explain what all those words mean, you know? But it's clear that she's not a dummy, even a little bit, you know, she's just, it's more a comment on, you know, kid, you're using a lot of big words.
Yeah. Do you even know what all those mean?
Yeah. And I just sort of appreciated how her character is understated, you know, in this. So any spray.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say we will both recommend Tony, which will be in theaters. We're actually technically covering this a little early in comparison to when it comes out. So it is opening in limited release this week. It will open in Boston, where we are based, the following week, the 14th. And then August 21st will be in wide release. So plenty of time, listeners, depending on which market you're in, to figure out when you're going to go see this, when it actually comes to a theater near you.
Exactly. So, sorry we already spoiled it for you, but I guess a lot of this information is available publicly anyway. So,
yeah, I feel like this is the kind of thing where it's like there's not really a lot to be surprised by here. It's just a matter of soaking it in and watching the performances and seeing how everything kind of unfolds.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, that'll wrap things up for this week's episode of Spoiler Piece Theater. I want to say a huge thank you to our editor, Otto Clamor. Otto, thank you for making us sound so great week after week.
Thank you, Otto.
And you can find the show anywhere you get podcasts, but you can also go to our website, which is spoilerpiece.com. You can find us on social media. We are Spoiler Piece Theater on Facebook, at Spoiler Piece, Twitter, Instagram, other places. You can send us an email, spoilerpiece@gmail.com, and tell us what you think about Tony or other movies. You can tell us if you've watched Crossroads before and have some thoughts on it, even if you're not a patron. Definitely curious that other people have seen that movie because it's interesting. If you like the show, please rate and review us by going to ratethispodcast.com/spoilerpiece. That will take you to your platform of choice. We appreciate the ratings and reviews. They give us cred in the podcast world. And in the absence of supporting us via Patreon, I mean, that's a pretty cool thing to do. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
But if you really, really like the show, you could join our Patreon. For just $5 a month, you get weekly bonus episodes. So for $5, you get 4 bonus episodes over the course of the month where we talk about generally older movies, more likely things that you've seen before. And you get to vote in a monthly poll. Who knows what this month's poll will be? That'll be a fun brainstorm for the two of us. But yeah, we appreciate your support if you're a patron. If you're not, check it out. I think it's a pretty good deal. And I think that's all the things I'm supposed to say. So my name is Evan Crean. I am co-chair of the Boston Online Film Critics Association, co-author of your 80s Movie Guide to Better Living, and co-host of the It's Pictures podcast. You can follow me on social media as Real Recon, and that's real as in film reel.
And my name is Dave Riedel. I'm a movie yapper. I'm a member of the Boston Online Film Critics Association. And I am Dave Sees Movies everywhere on the internet except for Twitter, where I'm X Can Suck a Dick, and Blue Sky, where I'm David Riedel.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.